in our 20s and built a quiet life in Virginia. No kids, just us, two cars, and a small house. She worked days at a billing office and made decent money. We were not rich, but the bills were paid and then some. For most of those years, I had no complaints at all. She was steady, and I thought I had it figured out. About 6 months ago, she picked up a gym routine. She said she was going every morning at 6 before work. It made sense to me, since I am long gone by then. She bought the leggings, the water bottle, the whole kit. She would talk about her trainer and her step count. I was proud of her for sticking with something hard. She even started meal prepping little chicken bowls. The whole thing looked real from where I stood. She started laying her gym clothes out the night before. Now I know it was just part of the routine. Every detail of the lie had its own little habit. I never once thought to check on any of it. Why would I? She had never given me a reason. A man leaves for work in the dark and trusts his wife. That is just how it is supposed to work. So, I went to the shop every morning and said nothing. I thought we were two people living a normal life. We used to be the couple our friends leaned on. We gave the toasts and hosted the cookouts. Everybody thought we had the steady one figured out. That is the part that still stings a little. We had our routines down to the minute back then. I cooked on the weekends and she handled the bills. We took one trip a year and called that enough. It was not a loud marriage, but it was a calm one, or at least that is what I believed it to be. I have learned that calm can hide a lot of things. Then one afternoon, my phone rang at the shop. It was a number I did not know, so I almost let it ring. I picked up on the last buzz before the voicemail. A man asked if I owned a silver car with my plate. I said that was my wife's car and asked what happened. He said she had backed into his car that morning. He said it happened at 6:40 in his apartment lot. He was decent about it. He just wanted his bumper fixed. He said she gave him the insurance card from the glove box. That card has my name on it and my cell number. That is the only reason this stranger ever reached me. I told him I would cover it and I got his address. The repair came to $212 and I paid it that week. But I was not thinking about $212 on that call. I was thinking about where his apartment complex sat. I knew that part of the county from old job sites. There was no gym out there that she would drive to. There was nothing out there for her at all. Nothing except whoever lived in that building. It is a good 30 minutes from our house. The gym she named is 10 minutes the other direction. At 6:40 that morning, she was nowhere near that gym. She was in a parking lot where shouldn't have been. My first thought was that the man had it wrong. Maybe he mixed up the plate or the morning, but he read my plate back to me, letter for letter. He had her car, her time, and her exact spot. There was no mixing that up, much as I wanted to. I stayed calm and thanked the man and hung up. Then I sat in the break room and stared off into space. A welder learns to keep his face still behind the mask. I used that skill for the first time off the clock. That night she talked about her great workout. She said the trainer had pushed her hard on legs. I just listened and said, that sounded rough. Inside, I was already somewhere far away from the couch. She kissed me goodnight like it was any other night. The man on the phone had sounded almost apologetic. He kept saying he hated to bother me at work. He had no idea he was handing me a grenade. To him, it was a fender bender and a small bill. To me, it was the first crack in the whole thing. I lay there awake and ran the math over and over. 30 minutes there, 30 back, every single morning. None of that fit a gym 10 minutes away. I kept telling myself there had to be a reason. Maybe a friend out there, maybe an errand, but people do not run errands at 6 in the morning because most places do not open that early, and she had never once mentioned anybody out there. The next morning, I called the gym on my break. I gave them her name and asked about her account. The kid on the phone said the account was not active. He said it had lapsed about 5 months back. He said there were no check-ins since the winter. So for 5 months, there had been no gym at all. 5 months of leggings and water bottles and lies. I thanked the kid on the phone and hung up. Then I went back to the floor and worked my shift. My hands did the welding while my head did the math. 5 months is 150 mornings. 150 mornings she had looked at me and lied. You guys know that feeling when the floor tilts. I did not say a word to her about any of it. I wanted to know the whole thing before I moved. My father taught to look and listen before you confront. So I started writing her times down like a logbook. She left every morning at 5:50 on the dot. She got home by 7:20 to shower before work. I checked the odometer on her car one night. Then I checked it again the very next night. She was putting on about 40 miles every morning. The gym round trip would have been 6 miles. 40 miles lined up with that apartment complex. I even mapped it once on my lunch to be sure. Our house to that lot and back came to 38. Add a few turns, and it landed right at 40. The numbers do not lie even when people do. I am a patient man. Welding teaches you that. You do not rush a bead or the whole seam fails. So I did not rush this either, as much as it burned. I kept the logbook in my locker at the shop. I did not want it anywhere she might stumble onto it. For a week, I wrote down times and miles and nothing else. I bought a small notebook just for the times. I wrote in it at red lights and on my breaks. By the end, it was a full page of her mornings. A full page that said the same thing every line. Every number told the same quiet story. She was not where she said she was, not once. Then I told my boss I would come in late one morning. I parked down the street from our house at 5:30. At 5:50, she pulled out, right on her schedule. I followed her, staying out of sight the whole way. I had not followed anybody in my life before that. My heart was going faster than the car was. I told myself I might be wrong right up to the lot. She did not go anywhere near that gym. She drove straight to the apartment complex. She parked in a visitor spot near the back. A man came out before she even shut her door. He was in gym clothes, which I found funny later. So that was the gym she had been going to. They hugged and kissed. That was all I needed to see. Then they went inside together and the door closed. I sat there a minute and made myself breathe slow. Then I drove to the shop and laid a clean weld. Funny what the hands will do when the heart goes numb. I did not cry, and I did not call anybody. I just kept my head down and finished the day. A man can carry a lot if he keeps his hands busy. It took me about a week to learn who he was. I found an old work photo of hers in a drawer. He was standing right next to her in that picture. It was from a job she had years before she met me. They had worked together long before I was around. She had circled back to him and called it the gym. I remembered her mentioning that old job once or twice. She had never said much about the people there. Now I knew there was one person she left out. He had been a name she buried for over a decade. The man she wanted was a man from her past. I figured that out and I felt strangely calm. Now I knew the what, the where, and the who. The only thing left was to do it the smart way. I could have driven over there and made a scene. Part of me wanted to bang on that apartment door, but a scene would have cost me more than it bought. I wanted the house, the savings, and my pride intact. You do not get those by losing your head. After that, I called a divorce attorney. The attorney wanted a $3,500 retainer to start. The first thing he asked was what I was after. I told him I wanted out, and I didn't want to get a damn penny. Then I told him the whole gym story, start to finish. He leaned back and told me about the law in Virginia. He said adultery here is a real weapon in a divorce. He said a cheating spouse can be barred from support. No monthly check, no alimony, nothing going forward. He said Virginia is strict about it in that way. Then he told me the catch I had to clear first. He said, I could not just prove she lied about a gym. He said the law wants clear and convincing proof. He said that means proof of an actual physical affair. A lie about a gym was not going to be enough alone. He also said adultery lets me file right away. He said I could skip the long wait that divorces need. Then he warned me about the one escape hatch she had. He called it a manifest injustice exception. He said a judge can still grant a cheater support. That only happens if denying it would be grossly unfair. He said that turns on the money gap between two people. Since she had a steady job, that door was basically shut. He explained it all in plain words, which I liked. He said judges here do not bend on the adultery bar. He said the proof was the whole ball game for me. Get the proof, he said, and the rest would follow. She earned her own paycheck every 2 weeks. There was no big money gap for her to lean on. So, the plan was simple, but it needed real proof. I told him I had a few photos. He looked at them but thought that wasn't enough. He told me to hire a private investigator. He said to keep living normal until the proof was in. The investigator cost me about $3,000 up front. I gave him the apartment address and her schedule. I gave him my logbook of times and miles too. He told me to keep acting normal at home. That was the hardest acting I have ever done. For 2 weeks, I kissed her goodbye in the dark. I knew exactly where she was headed every morning. I never tipped my hand once in those weeks. I smiled at breakfast and seethed in the truck. It was the longest stretch of acting in my life, but it kept the proof clean and the plan on track. I poured her coffee and told her to have a good workout. The word workout tasted like metal in my mouth. The investigator did not need much time at all. He had photos and timestamps within 2 weeks, 4 mornings, same lot, same man, same routine. He got them at the door and through a window. I am not going to describe what the photo showed. You guys can fill in that blank on your own. It was the clear and convincing proof I needed. It was enough to meet what the law asked for. The investigator handed me a folder and a drive. He told me he had seen 100 of these. He said the mornings are always the giveaway. He said cheaters love a routine they can hide inside. A gym at 6 was the perfect cover until it was not. I almost did not want to open that folder. Looking would make it real in a way I could not undo, but I owed it to myself to see it with my eyes. So I opened it once, looked, and closed it for good. I put the whole packet in my locker with the logbook. Then I told my attorney we were ready to move. My attorney filed for divorce on grounds of adultery. She was served at her billing office on a slow morning. She blew up my phone before her lunch break. I let every one of those calls go. I didn't answer either one. My lawyer had told me not to talk to her direct. When we finally spoke, she had a story ready. She said it was emotional and nothing ever happened. She said the gym was just her way to clear her head. I told her she was lying and my lawyer had everything. The line went quiet for a real long while. Then she started asking what it would take to fix us. I told her my lawyer would handle the rest. Then I hung up and I did not pick up again. She texted for days after that first call. She said she would change. She said she was sorry. She said 14 years had to count for something. I thought about that and decided it counted for the split. It did not count for a second chance though. The case moved faster than I thought it would. Her own lawyer saw the photos and the timestamps. He saw the grounds and he saw the Virginia bar. He stopped fighting the support question fast. There was no good argument left for him to make. In court, the judge laid the findings out plainly. He found the adultery proven by the photos. He said the standard of clear and convincing was met. He barred her from any spousal support at all. The monthly check she expected came to $0. My lawyer had guessed she wanted around $1,700 a month. She walked away with $0 a month instead. The judge found no manifest injustice in that. She had her billing job and her own paycheck. There was no money gap for her to fall back on. My lawyer had warned me the bar could still bend. He said a big income gap can flip a judge's mind, but she made good money at that billing office. So the manifest injustice door never even opened. The judge barely spent a minute on the question. Sitting in that courtroom felt strangely calm. I had done all my falling apart months before. By the time the judge spoke, I was already steady. Then my lawyer brought up the money she had spent. She had been buying gifts and dinners for that man. She had run up about $9,000 over those 5 months. That was money from our accounts. My lawyer called it a waste of our marital funds. He asked the court to weigh it in the property split. The judge did, and the split tilted my way. I kept the house and the bigger share of savings. She kept her car and her clothes and her checking. That was about how it ended on paper. On paper, it was clean lines and final numbers. In real life, it was 14 years going dark. I am not going to pretend the quiet was all relief. Some nights the house felt too big and too still, but still an honest beats full and lied to. The man from the apartment went back to his life. Last I heard, he had a girlfriend who did not know me. My ex moved into a rental closer to her office. She got no support, a smaller share, and a lot of quiet. She got the man she wanted, and then he drifted off. That tends to happen once the sneaking around stops. The thrill was in the lie, not in the man. Once the lie was gone, so was most of the spark. As for me, I still start my shifts at 5 in the morning. I still lay clean welds and come home to a quiet house. The quiet is mine now, and that is worth something. I sleep better than I have in a couple of years. I do not lie awake doing math at 2 in the morning. I do not wonder where anybody is at 6 anymore. The day the papers were final, I drove home slow. I walked through the house, and it was just mine. No gym bag by the door, no second set of keys, just quiet, and only my name on everything. I think about that stranger and his bumper sometimes. He has no idea what his phone call really did. He just wanted $212 to fix a dent in his car. He handed me the truth without ever knowing it. The cheapest thing in this whole story was that bumper. Everything her lie cost her came after that one call. She said she was at the gym every single morning. A stranger and a dented bumper said otherwise, and that was the morning it all ended for good. People ask me if I saw any of it coming. The honest answer is that I did not see a thing. She was that good at keeping the two lives apart. The gym story never once slipped in front of me. It took a stranger from outside our whole world. The bumper guy even mailed me a thank you note. He thanked me for paying up without a fight. I almost laughed when I read it. If he only knew what that dent had set loose. That little dent did more than any lawyer could. Well, as they say, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. See you in the next one.